This is Michael Foster, and he is a teacher at the American Museum of Natural History. Sounds like a good job, right? He studies biodiversity and conservation science. And he's working on several other degrees, and his main concern is our main concern, and that is teaching people how to save the earth. So please give a big round of applause to him.
Thank you. All right, so I don't remember what grades are here. Can you tell me? Was it kindergartners? Where are the kindergartners? Stand up. All right, no kindergartners. First graders. What do we have? Second graders. We have second graders? Third graders? Fourth graders? Fifth graders? Sixth graders? Thank you. Now I know where you all are. So, my name is Michael Foster. I work at the American Museum of Natural History. And I wanted to thank, first of all, Principal Randy Collins, Vivian Kwan, Dr. Gitter, Mary Kai, Dr. Mary Kai just spoke, and of course all of you for having me. I'm really appreciative of that. So I'm going to talk to you about maybe, possibly, can you be a hero? How many people think that you can be a hero right now? Good, good, very optimistic, excellent. For those of you who didn't raise your hand, I'm going to try to convince you that that's possible. All right? Who is that? Excellent, excellent. Who's that? All right. Who's that? So you seem to know who these folks are. Great. I'm going to talk about some people who you should know, who you can't name, probably, but you should. Does anybody know who? Lisa Jackson. All right. So Lisa Jackson is our Environmental Protection Agency Administrator. And let me step back and tell you why I think you should be thinking and knowing about these folks. As you just heard, we are possibly in a crisis, although Dr. Kai didn't say that exactly, but you can think about global warming as a potential crisis, right? It's a potential problem that it is a potential problem that can affect millions or billions of people at this point. Does anybody know how many billions of people are on Earth right now? 6, 7? It's about 7. Most people are saying 7 now. So there's a lot at stake. There's your life, there's my life, the life of your children if you have them. There's a lot at stake. And it's not just that things will be slightly unpleasant because the world is maybe slightly warmer, but it's that people will not be able to eat. They will suffer from potential more disease. For instance, malaria. Does anybody know what malaria is? Right here, the young lady in the khaki. You said yes. You're looking at yourself. Yes. What is malaria? It is a disease. Do you know? Can you tell me more about it? Young lady right here in the black. Yes. You do. So, one of the things I study is mosquitoes. Malaria is what we call a vector-borne or mosquito-borne disease, and you can get it. You usually get it in tropical areas, and it's a little single-celled organism that gets into your blood cells and makes it difficult for you to basically get oxygen or stay well. So malaria usually occurs in very warm areas because mosquitoes like warm areas that are warm and humid. So in tropical areas, it's warm and humid. But because of climate change, there are places that are now becoming open to mosquitoes, like mountains, where mosquitoes don't normally go because mountaintops are usually cold. So with climate change, we have the potential of exposing more people to diseases like malaria. So because this is a crisis, it requires that each and every one of you be involved. And it's important, therefore, that each and every one of you consider what part and role you can play. And these are folks that have decided they can play a role in helping preserve or conserve our environment conserve a healthy environment, ensure that everyone has access to all the benefits of a healthy environment. So Lisa Jackson, our first, what I would call environmental hero, she's the first African-American EPA administrator we've ever had, which is a historical moment. And she has a couple of degrees. She got her bachelor's and her master's of science degree in chemical engineering. I think her master's is from Princeton. But so she started out asking the question, how can I make a healthier environment for the people that I care about where I live? And she was in New Jersey, not very far away from here. A lot of people make fun of New Jersey because it's a place that people make fun of. But a lot of people make fun of it because it's known to have a lot of Superfund sites. Superfund sites are these sites where there have been incredible amounts of pollution released, and it's very difficult to clean up, and multiple people or organizations are responsible for the mess. So just imagine a room where anybody went in and they just dumped all their trash on the floor for about 10 years, and nobody could be held responsible, right? Because no one knew what was going on. Well, she kind of went in and she took responsibility to clean up those sites. Now, not personally, but she took responsibility by heading the EPA agency in New Jersey. So she initiated what's called hazardous waste cleanup regulations and projects that cost millions of dollars, all to make sure that people had a healthy environment and people had access to their environment. Because it's important not to just have a healthy environment, but also that people can have access to it, right? So everybody builds houses along the coastline, along a beach, and the beach is turned to, the only people who have access to that beach are the people who own houses. Well, that's not very, what we call just, or that's not having equal access. So thinking along those lines, she was so good at her job that President Obama, now President Obama, chose her to become commissioner or administrator of the the federal EPA. So I just want you to notice that Lisa Jackson, the administrator Lisa Jackson's travels came through education, bachelor's degree and undergraduate degree. And how many people here know what an undergraduate degree is? Raise your hand, does anybody know? All right, so an undergraduate degree is what you do when?
It's before grad school, like when you go to college for the first time out of high school.
Yes, you can even go to college for a second time, or a third time. You can keep going, you get an undergraduate degree. So she got an undergraduate degree, and then she got a master's degree and a graduate degree. But again, she's a hero because she took responsibility where many people would not or did not. And that resulted in her having even greater responsibilities for all of our health. Something she believes in is that we need a better education to help children like yourselves reach their full potential, but we can't build schools in the shadow of polluters that will make our kids sick and cause them to miss days of class with asthma or other health problems. Now, why that's important is because we've just talked about climate change, we talked about science, we talked about a lot about processes, ecological processes that happen on Earth. But here, notice that Ms. Jackson is talking about asthma and health and sickness and children. And what the connection is here is that climate change has the potential to increase rates of asthma. Climate change as a result of pollution such as carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a known polluter that increases your risk to asthma, particularly children like yourselves. And so what Ms. Jackson is saying is that we need to care about the environment because the most precious and sensitive individuals on Earth, children, really can be highly affected by pollution. So how many of you, I always ask this question, how many of you don't mind drinking dirty water? Raise your hands. All right, no one. How many of you don't mind breathing dirty air? None of you, didn't think so. And how many of you think it's okay to run around and toil on a playground that has pollution in it? No one. No one who's rational, right? No one who's got their head on straight. So the fact is, we should all care about what's happening in our environment because it's really our health that is at stake. Whether or not we like polar bears, or whether or not we even see one, whether or not in fact we get to experience any of the many wonders of the world, your own health, right here and right now, is at stake. Winona LaDuke Duke. Does anybody know who she is? No, it's another person we should know. Winona LaDuke is founding director of two organizations, the White Earth Land Recovery Project and Native Harvest, it's a lot to say, and Honor the Earth. Winona LaDuke is a Native American, and she got interested in these issues of environment for slightly different reasons than Lisa Jackson. Winona LaDuke is a member of the Ojibwe tribe and the I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but the Mississippi Band, a Mississippi band of a part of her tribe. So what happened in her life is that her elders and the story of her people was such that early in the American history, in the history of America, American soldiers and the American government took the land of her people and did not return it, dispersed her people, and this really devastated her community. And so, just so that you have a sense of what that might be like, just imagine your neighborhood, where you live and your friends, or just imagine the school, for instance. Imagine that soldiers sort of came in and they said, okay, well, the 6th grade class is now going to go all the way up to Harlem, and the 1st grade class, the kindergartners are going to go all the way down to Brooklyn, and that's where you're going to live for the rest of your life. That's what you're going to do for school for the rest of your life. That would be a little disconcerting, right? To be separated from your friends and your family that way. And that's what happened to her people. And so she realized pretty early that part of your environment is not just the things that you eat and breathe, carbon dioxide, plants, all that sort of thing, but actually part of the environment is culture. But how many people knew that part of the environment is culture? So there's this concept called biocultural conservation. So people are interested in conserving plants and animals and biodiversity, but people are also interested in conserving culture, such as language. How many people know that languages can die? Raise your hand if you know languages can die. Excellent. So how many people know that you can track language death along with extinction of species? So we know that when species go extinct, usually there are languages that go extinct along with it. So people and the environment are highly linked.